Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Gun Radha Gun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Srimad Bhagavatam 2:6-33. Iti te abhitam tata yatedam anuprichyasi nanyad bhagavata kinchit bhavyam sadasat atmakam iti te vihitam tata yatedam anuprichyasi nanyad kinchit bhavyam sadasadatmakam iti te bhitam tata yatedam anuprichyasi nanyad bhagavata kinchid bhavyam sadasadatmakam
iti te vihitam tata
Ladies, want to chant? No. Iti, thus, te, unto you, abhitam, explained, tata, my dear son, yata, as, idam, all these, anuprichyasi, as you have inquired. Na, never. Anyat, anything else. Bhagavataha, beyond the personality of Godhead. Kinchit, nothing. Bhavyam, to be thought ever. Sat, cause. Asat, effect. Atmakam, in the matter of. My dear son, whatever you inquired from me, I have thus explained unto you. And you must know for certain that whatever there is, either as cause or as effect, both in the material and spiritual worlds, is dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The complete cosmic situation, both in the material and in the spiritual manifestations of the energies of the Lord, is working and moving first as the cause and then as the effect. But the original cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Effects of the original cause become the causes of other effects, and thus everything, either permanent or temporary, is working as cause and effect. And because the Lord is the primeval cause of all persons and all categories, all persons and all energies, he is called the cause of all causes, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita as well as in the Bhagavad Gita. The Brahma Samhita affirms, Ishara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. And in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matta Sarvam Pravartate Iti Matva Bhajante Mam Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. So the original primeval cause is Vigraha, the personal, and the impersonal spiritual effulgence, Brahmajyoti, is also an effect of the Supreme Brahma, Brahmano hi pratishtaham, Lord Krishna. Om Agana Timidantasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Miditam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutade Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Pradijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lolita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhobhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Iti te bihitam tata yatedam anuprishyasi Nanyad Bhagavata Kinchid Bhavyam Sadasadatmakam. Lord Brahma concludes his answer to Narad Muni by saying, Iti te bihitam tata, yatedam anupritchasi. As you've inquired from me, so I've answered your questions. This is the Vedic process of receiving knowledge. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. One has to approach a tattvadarshi. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. One has to approach a person who has approached a person who's approached a person who's approached a person who's heard the science of Krishna in the line of succession. Tattvadarshi, a person who's heard and a person who's understood. Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. And approaching means submissively. Not, all right, I've got 3 minutes to explain to me what this is all about, okay? No, I don't have that much time, come on. It's not challenging, it's not demanding, it's submissive. Upadekshanti te jnanam. The bona fide teacher, spiritual master, explains things to a submissive student. Pruyu snigdhasya shishasya gurave guramapyutam. So one approaches in that way. Pranipatena pariprashnena. And one asks one's relevant questions, not useless, irrelevant questions, but questions about the real goal of life, purpose of life, questions about spiritual understanding. And to complete the process, one also renders service. Even in our childhood, we were sometimes told to bring an apple to the teacher. It's an old American tradition. And every now and then bring an apple to the teacher. That means the teacher's giving me something. Instructions, knowledge, training. So I should reciprocate, I should express some gratitude. Then the teacher becomes more pleased also. Yes, the student is appreciative. Then the teacher becomes inspired to teach more. So in this way, so Narad approached Brahma in that spirit, and now Brahma says, I've explained to you, yatedam anupritchasi. As you've asked, so I've explained. Nanyad bhagavata kinchit bhavyam. There's nothing higher to be thought of than Bhagavata, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mata parataram nanyad kinchit asti, because there is nothing superior to the Personality of Godhead. Mayi sarvamidam protam sutre manigana. Everything's resting on Krishna as pearls are resting on a thread. So this is the definition of God, or the Absolute. Asamordva, nothing's equal and nothing's greater. So here, na anyad bhagavata kinchit bhavyam. So there's nothing else to be thought of than Bhagavan, the Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva Sarvamiti, he's everything. Within Bhagavan, the impersonalists, they think also there's nothing upon which we should concentrate but the absolute truth. But their absolute truth has no form, no qualities, no activities, no qualities, no nothing. So what will we think of? Everything is Maya but the absolute truth. And so we can only think of the absolute truth, but there's nothing to think of. That doesn't work very well. Here, to think of Krishna means to think of Krishna's qualities, Krishna's teachings, Krishna's form, Krishna's devotees, Krishna's abode, so many things in relationship to Krishna. And it's not just a crutch that, all right, we'll think of Krishna because he has form, he has qualities, that makes things easy. Actually, the Absolute is impersonal, but we need some crutch, we need something to think of. So, all right, for now, we'll think of a form. No. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sarvakarana Karanam. This form, the Absolute Truth, has three features: impersonal in the beginning, then seated within the heart of all beings, and finally the personal feature. So from Srimad Bhagavatam we understand that the personal feature is the source of the other features. It's only in the personal feature that we find full variety. The impersonal feature is by definition no variety. Variety is Maya. So no variety. There must be no form. Because here in the material world we have form, we have qualities, we have individuality, we have all of that, and it's all Maya. It's all by illusion that we think this. So by illusion, I mistake a rope for a snake, and then I'm confused. Or worse, I mistake a snake for a rope, and so I grab the rope and get bitten. Well, people are getting bitten by the snake of Maya because of illusion. They think one thing to be another thing, and then they suffer. You think the salt is sugar. So the impersonalist solution to this is to get rid of all varieties. Then there's no confusion. Then there's no suffering. Then there's no hankering, there's no lamenting, because there's no you. If we get rid of the you, then there'll be no more desires, no more hankering, because their philosophy is that from desire comes hankering, from hankering comes misery, finally. We become associated with the material energy due to hankering and attachment. So if we can get free from that desire, we'll get free from all misery also. And how do you get free from desire? Extinguish the ego. But the ego means the self, so you extinguish the self. They don't mean just ego in the sense of egotistical, get rid of your false pride. They mean get rid of your individual identity altogether, so that you become or you realize non-individuality or oneness. So this is their solution. We get rid of suffering by getting rid of desire. We get rid of desire by getting rid of the self, the ego. But that's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Or Prabhupada said, spiritual suicide. I have a fever, so I get rid of the fever by shooting myself. So that, and the further problem of the impersonal approach is that it fails to account for variety. All these varieties that we see are here. There's just on this window, there's pink, there's pale yellow, there's blue. Then you come to the floor, there's red, there's green, there's white. There's so many varieties throughout the whole. You look at a forest, there's birch, there's pine, there's cedar, there's walnut. Wherever you go, the whole material world is full of varieties. So how do we account for that variety? If everything is one, where does the variety come from? So the impersonalists have an answer. This variety comes from Maya, from illusion. It's not real. It's only apparent. There only seems to be variety when, in reality, there's just oneness. So, well, that solves the problem. Now I know where variety comes from. It arises from illusion. Now there's only one question left. Where does illusion come from? Because they say, Eka Brahma Dvitiya Nasti, there's only one absolute truth and there's no second thing. Dvitiya means second. There's Eka Brahma, only one absolute truth, no second thing. Well then, where does your Maya come from? If there's the absolute truth, and then there's illusion preventing me from realizing the absolute truth, that's not one, that's two. So how do you get two-ness out of oneness? In that oneness, there's no form, no qualities, no individuality, no desire, no duality, no division between this and anything else. So how do you get from that a second thing? That they can't explain. So here, sarvakarnakar, everything has a cause. We just traced. Material variety comes from Maya. Okay, there's effect, the variety, and there's the cause, Maya. But then where does Maya come from? There has to be a cause. In genealogy, my father came from his father, his father, his father, his father. Each one is the effect, and each one is also the cause. So there's cause and effect, cause and effect. If I knock this microphone further away, then my hand becomes the cause, and the distance becomes the effect. But then, for my hand to do that, there has to be a further cause. You can say my will to do it. So everything has to have cause and effect. We trace cause, 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 cause. But finally we come to sarva karana karanam. Karana means cause. Among all the causes, finally we come to the original cause. We discussed that yesterday, everything else, 2 days ago. That everything else has the nature of being dependent. The microphone is dependent on the microphone stand. The microphone stand is dependent on the floor. The floor is dependent on the pillars. The pillars are dependent on the foundation. The foundation is dependent on the earth. The earth is dependent. So in that way, everything's dependent. Finally, when you get to dependent implies there must be something that ultimately everything depends on. That's your final point. Sarva karana karanam, the cause of all the other causes. That must be there. So here, I've explained everything to you. Sat asat atmakam. Sat and asat means cause and effect. Sat and asat mean different things, temporary and permanent, good and bad, material and spiritual. So everything can be understood in this way. But sat asat in this context, the acharyas say, means cause and effect. So I've explained everything to you in terms of cause and effect. The cosmic manifestation I've explained to you, not just the ingredients, but the whole line of cause and effect. Coming to the original cause, Govinda. So, Nanyad Bhagavata, since Krishna is the cause of all causes, what else should I think of but Krishna? Krishna is everything, and Krishna includes everything. So let us think of Krishna. And that's the conclusion here. Iti te bihitam tata yatedam anuprachasi nanyad bhagavata kinchit bhavyam sadasadatmakam. All right, any questions, comments? Yes.
Maharaj, so atheists and agnostics argue that this philosophy that everything must have a cause, they argue against that, meaning they say that everything doesn't need to have a cause.
What do they mean by that? Things just happen?
Things just happen.
That's irrational. That's contra everything, contra science, contra logic, contra everyday experience. It's unreasonable, literally, because things happen for no reason. It's ignorant. If I drop this watch, it falls. Now, why did it fall? For no reason. That means ignorance. A person a little edgy, oh, there's gravity acted upon the watch, you were holding it, but then when you let go, gravity acted, so there's a cause. Today it's going to be warm, the weatherman says. Why will it be warm? No reason. That's ignorant. Anyone who looks a little bit into meteorology will see there's warm fronts, there's cold fronts, there's this, that. There are causes. It rained like anything last night. It's not just like, well, yeah, just for no reason. No reason means that we don't know. We don't know means we're ignorant.
So, and just to further on this point, what if they were to argue that, well, okay, everything, the problem, that things can have cause, but to say that everything must have a cause.
You mean it's optional?
How do we know everything must have a cause?
It's optional. Things can happen for reasons or for no reason. That's, again, unreasonable. The things I understand, they happen for the reasons I understand. The other things happen for no reason. That's not very bright.
There is a atheist scientist by name Richard Dawkins, I think. Richard Dawkins.
Yes.
He says, yeah, there's example given by the theists of watch. If you find a watch anywhere in the sea or a seashore, you know there is a watchmaker behind it. But he says, yeah, there might be a watchmaker, but he is blind. He gives the whole example and the whole explanation as to why the watchmaker is blind. So,
why is he blind? Why do you think that the watch was created by a blind man? I don't know I haven't read his book. Why does he say it was created by a blind man?
I also don't know about this, but this is
It's not a very parsimonious explanation.
You heard of it?
It sounds like you haven't understood his argument. So then I won't speak to it.
Maharaj, seems like the whole impersonal philosophy, does it encourage sense gratification, Maharaj? Because
Yeah, finally, there was an old song from the 1960s, the Beatles, nothing is real and nothing to get hung up about. Since nothing is real, anything goes. Since anything goes, well, let's party it up. So you get this odd combination of, this very profound, cosmic realization and pigging out. Yeah, I'm going to go deep and deep, and I'll realize that there's nothing. And then I'll enjoy nothing like a dog or a pig. Since everything's illusory, well, we might as well get into the illusion and enjoy. So this is the result of polluted consciousness. To understand reality, one has to control the mind, control the senses. One has to be able to master one's passions. Then these are like prerequisites for meditation, for philosophical discrimination. A person who can't control his mind and senses is just going to be dragged this way, that way. He'll say anything, and what will he understand? So one has to be able to control the mind and senses, then he can begin to realize the Absolute. Therefore, in the Shankara Sampradaya, first thing you have to do is take sannyas. You can't be a sense enjoyer and at the same time practice yoga and pursue the Absolute and do meditation and all of that kind of stuff. No. First thing, you have to renounce everything. Right? Sannyas is the prerequisite for even getting started in the Shankara Sampradaya. So our method is...
Didn't think of it like that. It's pretty amazing. Never thought of it
that was an amazing
Never thought of it.
angle, Maharaj.
Yeah. So I'd always wondered how come it had taken this long, because impersonal philosophy is just rampant in India, but yet not until the onset of the modern age do we see that, using impersonalist philosophy for degradation. At least in India, it was very rigid and very
they'll have a philosophy,
and
but they'll have discipline.
I see.
I met the Shankaracharya, where we had darshan one time of the Shankaracharya of Kanchipuram, who was a renowned person, not the more recent one, but the person who was not the one who went to jail and all that stuff, but the previous one. And you could see this is a person who had spiritual power, effulgent, austere. He followed. And he also gave his blessings. We went there with Lokanath Maharaj. Lokanath Maharaj asked for blessings for the Padayatra. He said, I give my blessings that His holy name should shine all over the world. So that's, if you're going to do it, that's what you do. You really follow the discipline. Otherwise, you don't follow the discipline. Then it's just like dime store philosophy. Yeah, everything's illusion. It's like, and then from there, I have a philosophy. I have everything. I have a Lexus. I have a girlfriend. I have a philosophy. I have a guru. So our method's not the Shankara method that first you take sannyas. Our method is that you first become Krishna conscious. You see everything in relationship to Krishna, not see everything as false. And use everything for Krishna. Your intelligence, your mind, your body, your words. use your possessions, use everything for the service of Krishna, then because it's connected to the ultimate reality, it will have reality. It will share in reality. Then your words are real, your thoughts are real, your possessions have real value because they're connected to the ultimate reality. Otherwise, disconnected, they're nothing.
Right. So, like, for the Shankara that Chandrasekhar and then that y'all met, what's the destination of such a person? Because they ultimately they fall down. According to
That depends. But he got the association of devotees, and he expressed his desire that the holy name should be everywhere. Something must be there. I'm not in charge of assigning next destinations. Certainly not the same as pure devotional service, but a saintly person must get some good benefit. Nahi kalyana krit kaschit durgatam tata kaschit.
So Maharaj, like for someone like them, is it the whole...
Start again.
For someone like him,
Yes.
is it the whole Bahunam Janmanamanti thing that after many births they'll understand Krishna is the ultimate goal and...
Gyanavan mam prapadyate. Bahunam janmanamante. Gyanavan mam prapadyate. After many, many births, when one seeking knowledge comes to the conclusion of knowledge, he realizes Krishna is everything. So he surrenders to Krishna.
When we were in Union Square, Maharaj, we right next to Union Square was this place called SGI, and that's like one of the biggest, I don't know if you remember, it's like one of the biggest Buddhist centers of all times, like especially in New York. People are like super like crazy about that place, I met constantly distribute books to one of these persons, give them one book, another book, another book. And I ultimately asked him, I'm giving you all these books, you claim to be a Buddhist, and you say everything is nothing, then why are you living like a dog? And then, he said then, anyway, everything is nothing, so my enjoyment also is nothing, your austerity also is nothing.
Yeah. That's what it comes to. This sort of polluted mixture of absolute realization and the life of a dog. It's not. That means just a dog with a philosophy. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Yes, there's a question in the back.
My question is, like, sometimes things are like really confusing. Like when I just of course the Mayavad philosophy.
Sometimes things are confusing. Okay.
So even of course the Mayavad philosophy is confusing, but then also sometimes in Krishna consciousness it's just like there's so many things that it's just like it's like overwhelming. So it's like how do you like stay like okay with it, when it's overwhelming, like there's this, there's that, and it's you're constantly in my mind it's like, oh, you're supposed to do this way, this way, this way. How do you like be
You
okay?
There's so many things, but one learns. Just you see a person driving a car, he's got a steering wheel, he's got the pedal, the gas pedal, he's got the brake, and then he's got the mirrors, a few mirrors to look in. And if you're an airplane pilot, whoa. And these days with digital display with all these lights and indicators, because the whole thing is computerized. One pilot told me it's exhausting. The super computerized everything's automatic version is more exhausting because you have to always be looking at everything. But when you're trained, then you get to know, okay, this is this, this is this, this is this, this is this. This gets set this way, this gets set that way. If you're doing sports, whether it's swimming or baseball or golf or everything, there are all these things. You have to keep your shoulders this way and your arms that way and your legs this way and how do you do it all? So the first lesson is like a disaster. But after a while you become adept. After a while you become adept. Or grammar, there's verbs and adjectives and nouns and all different kinds of nouns and passive verbs and active verbs and subjunctives and this and that. Tenses, conjugations, so how do you understand all that? You learn patiently. Therefore Rupa Goswami says, utsaha nishchayat dharyat, enthusiasm and patience, determination. Is that okay? Okay. Thank you all very much. Oh, there's what? Another question.
I just wanted some clarification. In Buddhism, you're in touch with the Vedas to some extent, but in something like Christianity, you're actually getting at least a somewhat understanding of a personal God. So can you say one or the other gives you better tools to ultimately achieve Krishna, or?
One or the other, Vedic or Christian? Well, you decide. You decide. But if you're going to be Christian, then be Christian. Christ said, "Thou shalt not kill." So first, this tool may be better, that tool might be better, but no tool's good if you don't use it. This school may be better, that school may be better, but neither school's worth anything if you don't take the instruction to heart. So that's the first thing. If you're going to be Christian, if you're going to follow the Christian school, then follow. But they don't follow. So, especially this point, that how can we kill animals when God said, "Thou shalt not kill"? So first let's settle that up, then we can talk about this tool, that tool. But first let's follow. Is that okay? And now we'll stop. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Glories to Srila Prabhupada.